Hey everyone, it is Dave. Welcome into module number 5. Congratulations for making it through the midterm and the first half of the class. Everything from this point forward goes on to the final exam. There will be nothing prior to this that will appear on the final. With that said, we start to study a little bit different type of art now with modules 5 through 8. And this is modern art. It is the art of the avant-garde. It is experimental, it is innovative, and it's one of my favorite areas of art to talk about. We also start to see a lot more lectures, but the lectures are shorter, so it's roughly the same time period of lecturing as you saw in the first half of the class. It's just more of them, and again, smaller in terms of duration. We do have this week photography, where that's kind of the genesis of modern art, at least in my opinion. We're going to talk about modern architecture. We're going to look at the father of modern art, Edward Manet. And finally, we're going to end this week with Impressionism, which deals with the very first secessionist art movement. And you're familiar with these artists, people like Claude Monet and Edgar Degas, for instance. As far as projects go, we still have our 2 journals to complete. We also have a discussion on photography. So with that, let me take you over to the Canvas site. I'll walk you through module number 5. All right, here we are on the familiar Canvas site. This week is module number 5. Up top, your video you're watching, the module 5 introduction. Always check these out. The summary tells you basically what I just did as we transition from traditional art into modern art. We have our list of lectures, we have our list of objectives, and then the assessments this week, discussion board, and 2 journals. So we've got 4 different lectures this week. The first one I would do is photography, because that is also going to be the basis for our discussion board this week. Besides the lecture and the study guide, we'll take a look at the further exploration material. Sally Mann, one of my favorite artists, I gave you a link to her website. You do want to complete the reading on Niepce, Talbot, and Muybridge. This is an essential video to watch how daguerreotypes are created. We talk a lot about camera obscuras. This is how to create one. And I would tell you that these bottom 2 here are optional. For architecture, I've got the study or the lecture, the study guide. For the further exploration area, we're going to talk a lot about falling water. This is falling water right here. It's one of the most iconic homes in the United States, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. We've also got a stall house, which is part of the Case Study House project, and a list of all the case study houses beneath that. So I'm going to talk about both of those extensively during the lecture. Following that, Edward Manet. He is considered the father of modern art. Lecture, study guide, further exploration. We're going to zip down to the videos first. We've got a video on the Industrial Revolution, which is happening at the time of the invention of photography. One of the most important paintings of the modern art genre is Luncheon on the Grass, also Olympia. So those are important videos to watch. A little reading on Edward Manet's painting Music and the Tuileries. You only have to read a couple parts of Baudelaire's The Painter of Modern Life. You do not have to read it all. And also from the Art Bulletin, still thinking about Olympia's maid, which is this lady back here. Her name is Lori, and she is a model that's used in a lot of Edward Manet's paintings. The last lecture for the week is Impressionism, the study guide, and for further exploration, I do have a reading you want to complete. What's great about modern art is we have video of many of these artists. Claude Monet lived a really long life, one of the very few, if not only Impressionists we have a video of. He lived all the way into the 1920s, like 1926. And he is always smoking. He is a chain smoker, and he is smoking in this video, but it's cool to see him. This is an optional video, and if you're very into Claude Monet, this is Ross King, who you also saw in the documentary about the Medici godfathers of the Renaissance. He wrote a book on Manet quite a few years ago now, and it got all sorts of acclaim. It's a great book, and this is also a great writer's talk about the book. It is an hour and a half long, but it's well worth it. It is optional for this class, but once again, if you're into this subject, something to bookmark for later. We're going to jump down to the journals real quick. Journal number 7, I'm going to actually have you go out and take some photographs. What I'd like you to do is, from the list of 11 images, I'd like you to choose 6 to shoot an image of. And you want to include on each page probably 2 images. You want to include the photo, a caption, and then just a couple of sentences telling me how the photo met the requirement, what the image is of, and where it was taken. The idea is for you to get out and about and take some photographs. It is not for you to turn around in a circle in your room and try to take all 6 photographs. It's not what it's meant to, that's not what this assignment is meant to do. So get outside, go to a couple different places, and take these images. The final journal is about falling water. And there's an article here that you're going to download. It's from Scientific America, and it's about falling water and the problems that it has. Frank Lloyd Wright's design is beautiful, but there are some fundamental flaws in it. I want you to answer what the problems were, what did the engineering firm do to preserve the home, and also more of an opinion on question 3. Who gets the final word in a building's design, the client or the architect, and why? So one allegedly has the knowledge, the other has the money, and you have to decide on one or the other, which is what academic writing is all about. For the discussion this week, it is on photography. Just like our previous discussions, you're going to have 1 week to complete the post. You'll have another week to respond to another student. What I'd like you to do after the photography lecture is to share a photographer. You're going to go out and do research and choose a photographer whose work you think is impactful, but more importantly, that you share the same culture with. Do not choose any photographer that was in the lecture, on the study guide, or in the examples below. Post an example of the photographer's work, write a short narrative including all of these items here, but most importantly, and in a separate paragraph, what culture do they share with you? Keep in mind that culture is a very broad term. We normally think about race or religion. I want you to put those aside. You will not get full credit on this project if you only mention race or religion. The idea is that there's something deeper that we can tie to this artist. Now, keep in mind, if you choose an artist, and let's say that you like them, you think their work is impactful because of their focus on environmental concern and activism, you also have to prove that they have concern about that particular topic. Also, on the other side of that, you have to prove that you have concern for it too. Because the idea of, for instance, the environment is we are all concerned about that. But if you say, my major is environmental science, that proves to me that that is part of your culture. If you give time for beach cleanup, if you give money to environmental impact companies, that's something that would provide proof that you promote this same exact culture. Okay, so you can't just say, I'm concerned about the environment, this person is too because he does a landscape photo. That's not it at all. You must do more research. Part 2 is going back and doing a reply to another individual's post in your group. Keep in mind, for professional photographers, they have to do this for a living, won awards, published, significant amount of followers on social media. Any of those things can support the idea that this is a professional photographer. Information on uploading an image, a disclaimer on netiquette, the breakdown for grading, 5 points for photographer, 5 points for culture, 5 points for the research you put in, 5 points for the response to another group member. An example here, perfect image, great paragraph, lots of information and research made on this particular artist, and also a separate paragraph on culture. Again, you're looking at a 2-paragraph project, one on research, one on culture. Same thing here, 2 paragraphs, and I also included this person's response that he made on another student's project. So that's what I'm looking for the discussion board. If you have questions, of course, you're more than welcome to join my office hours, Monday and Wednesday, late afternoon, early evening. You can also send me an email. And with that, I will see you shortly with module number 6.